Hello everybody, welcome to another session of Ask the Curator. My name is Susan Gillis and I'm the curator at the Boca Raton Historical Society, and we're here at the beautiful Schmidt Boca Raton History Museum. I have a really good question for us today. Would you agree with me that the single most deciding factor for the population growth in Boca Raton during the 60s and 70s was the availability of air conditioning? Excellent question. And certainly AC was terrifically important in the growth of our community and of course all of Florida during this era. But I would not say that it was the number one or single most important factor. I want to say a shout out to our friend Dr. Bill Strong, who's a retired economist from FAU, for his wonderful research he did for us for a lecture we had a few years ago about the economic growth of our community in this post-war era. And he pointed out that number one, after World War II, people's retirement funds were portable. They got Social Security. They didn't have to stick to the family compound in Long Island or wherever it was. They could pick up and retire to Florida, making it more user-friendly for snowbirds, let's say. But by the 1960s, you have the presence of large-scale developers in town, particularly Arvida, one of the most successful development firms probably ever in United States history, and also the growth of condominiums, which were allowed after 1961. So that brought a lot of people to town. You've got to remember that in the 60s, everyone didn't have air conditioning. It wasn't a given like today. I would say yes, you have to have AC to allow the growth of a community. But back then, particularly as Floridians, we were not accustomed to that. And I did a little research. In 1960, the cheapest AC I could find, this is 1960, was $139. That was for what we called a window shaker, just a one unit for one window. That would air condition one room. $139 in 1960 is now $1,200. So $1,200 for one room, that was expensive. By the mid to late 60s, if you look at the development brochures, of which we have hundreds, by the way, in our collection, AC starts to become standard issue for new housing projects, and particularly by the late 60s, central air conditioning. And then it's just a given. But really in the early 60s, not so much. Other factors in the 60s bringing people to town, and the 70s, Florida Atlantic University opens. IBM comes to town in the late 60s. We have a hospital. So this brought many people, and many people are indeed drawn to the amenities. Wonderful new cultural and social institutions develop in accordance with these new organizations, these new businesses. So it all worked together. AC is a factor, but just one of those. Thanks for that great question.